how to talk about Alex Garland's newest film, Annihilation. This is the director of Ex Machina. He has both directed and written the screenplay for this film. This movie is really hard to talk about. I really enjoyed this. So I'm going to try to give you the best kind of setup plot as I can, give you some of my pros and some of my cons of what I thought overall about this movie, because this movie, pardon my language, was a mindfuck. And I love this film a lot. So the basic setup is Alina, who is played by Natalie Portman, is this biologist who works at Johns Hopkins University, and she used to be in the Army. And so what happens is her husband, who's been gone for about 12 months, Oscar Isaac, who is Kane in this film, has really kind of just fell off the earth, MIA, but we don't know what's happened to him. He comes back, and no one knows what's happened to him. He doesn't even know what happened to him, and we try to figure out what's going on. Flash forward, they get sent to this area, this institution, and we kind of realize what's going on. And we're in the Everglades, we're in Florida, I'm presumably because the scenery is all kind of Everglades-y. And so what happened was, at the very, very beginning of the film, there was a meteor that came and hit this lighthouse. And I guess it permeated this force, known as the Shimmer, that it kept expanding and expanding. And initially, the military and the government has sent things inside it, and nothing has come out, except for Oscar Isaac. And that's where this entire thing begins. And so, we have Oscar Isaac, who is pretty much quarantined now. Natalie Portman's trying to figure out what's going on. Like, what happened to my husband? I don't think this is the same person we saw before. We're trying to figure out what's going on with him. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't even remember anything. And so this ragtag team of women, a biologist, a psychiatrist, an engineer, a chemist, I'm sure I'm mixing some of those up, are all sent in to pretty much do some survey work and try to figure out what the epicenter of this entire thing is at this lighthouse in the center of this entire anomaly that's going on, this Shimmer. And so they go into the Shimmer really hesitantly, and crazy things ensue. And I'm not going to really talk about that, but this movie really kind of questions modern biology and in science fiction terms as well, and it really crosses all these things. And if you look into the biological definition of annihilation, you'll notice that a lot of what's going on in this film is that. And it's a really cool kind of analogy and metaphor of what's going on in this movie, and I really love it. So let me talk a little bit about some of the pros, and then I'll talk about some of the cons that I have for this film. So the pros are, this is a visually stunning film. I absolutely loved everything that was going on. The flora and the fauna, especially in this film, which I'm not going to get into, are gorgeous, and what is really happening in this little contained thing in the Shimmer in the Everglades, is really kind of unique. And this movie feels like it takes things from other things in the past. And I know Ex Machina was along the same lines. It really tackled AI in a different kind of angle, in a different kind of way. But so did this. This movie takes on some forms from other films, which I'm not going to get into because that'll kind of give things away. But I can think of a couple of things on my shelf that really kind of parallel some of the messages behind this film. But this movie is just really caught my eye. It really kept me interested in this film the entire time. I watched this movie at 10:50 at night and didn't get out till 1 o'clock. And so I was already really tired. I just got off work. And I was kind of really looking forward to this movie, but I really didn't know what to expect. And I was glued to the screen the entire time. That, my friends, is what makes a movie so great. And that's the reason I love movies so much, is where it makes me escape something, and it engrosses me into the story, especially a very unique kind of sci-fi thriller kind of story. The acting in this movie was phenomenal. Jennifer Jason Leigh as the psychiatrist was amazing. I really loved her. Her character was super nihilistic. I really loved Oscar Isaac's character, who didn't really know what was going on with him, and Natalie Portman trying to figure out this entire thing, on top of the other all-star cast that I couldn't, unless I looked at my phone, couldn't list off for you. But I really loved this movie. Now, there's one potential con that I can think of for people who aren't really into science fiction, or things that aren't really straightforward. The story isn't very straightforward, especially near the end where there's this kind of ambiguous and kind of huge ending that is not super spelled out for everyone. And that's something that could potentially be a con for some people, but for me is brilliant. I love it. And so, with that cautionary thing out of the way, if you don't really enjoy science fiction or things that are kind of ambiguous near the end or things that really are kind of vague and abstract, this might be not the film for you, but for me, this is my type of film. I really loved Ex Machina and I really loved Annihilation. So, I give this movie a 5 out of 5. I'm definitely going to own this movie on Blu-ray. It's my favorite thing this year. It's my favorite thing I've seen. I really love this movie. I cannot wait to go back and catch the things that I've missed. Definitely go check out this movie. I would say do not watch the trailer because it'll give some things away. So definitely go into this kind of blind. I want to hear your thoughts on Annihilation down below. Give me a like, comment down below. Don't forget to share this video and also subscribe. And I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.